guys, I am back with another book video. So it's a little different from the video I thought that I would initially do. I wanted to do the try a chapter tag, and I had sort of picked some books that I thought sounded a little bit interesting for that, and then over the weekend, so if you follow anything on Booktube, then you will know over the weekend, I guess, there was this big, or maybe it was at the tail end of last week, I don't know, but there was this big blow up. A booktuber posted essentially a rant about how diversity isn't really needed, it's the worst thing ever, yada yada yada. So I started seeing rebuttals and answers to that rant posted by some of the booktubers that I follow, and essentially something called Diversathon came up as a response to that, as a healthy response to that, I should say. I didn't see the initial video. A channel that I watch, none of the channels that I watch actually linked the original video, I think in an effort to not give that video more hits and views and whatever. But if you Google it, you can find it, which is what I did. I don't know if you can see my socks, which is what I happened to do. So yeah, I Googled, found the video. After about 5 minutes, I don't even know if I lasted 5 minutes, but after 5 minutes, I essentially like got the fuck out of there. It was, what she was saying wasn't, I mean, there were no like slurs or anything used, but I have never seen, well, that's not true, I have seen, but I was really, what struck me was the venom with which she was spewing her views. Like, it was just, I don't know, it was kind of breathtaking in a horrible, horrible way. Like, I had an immediate visceral reaction, gut reaction. I physically felt ill. It just made my heart hurt. So anyway, I will link some of the Diversathon videos and recommendations in the down bar below. So I thought that instead of just doing try a tag, I would combine the two. So Diversathon is basically an effort to get people to read diversely, to read out of their comfort zones, to try things that they might not have ever tried, to pick up books by authors that are not, you know, on their Goodreads list. So, and to kind of be conscious of that. The great thing about reading is that you essentially get to travel for free. You get to live someone's experience without living someone's experience. And I don't know why anyone would consider that a bad thing. And I'm not saying like tokenism, like you don't want to just, you know, have the token black friend or have the sassy gay friend or whatever the case may be, just to for the sake of diversity. I'm talking about you know, books and movies, really entertainment of any kind of media that exposes you to something that is not your experience. And I don't know how anyone can shit on that or why anyone would want to shit on that, but whatever. So and so with the try a chapter tag, essentially you pick 5 books, you read a chapter from each book, and the chapter that kind of grabs you the most is what you end up reading. So I don't have 5 books, I have 4. Actually I have more than 5, but these are the 4 that sort of work with the Diversathon read along. And I already had these. They've been on my list to read, and I happened to pick up most of them from the library last week. And I don't really know much about a few of them. So I have My Name is Leon by Kit DeWall. This is about, from what I can gather, two brothers who are placed in foster care. One is sort of adopted right away, and he is the white brother. The older biracial brother, I'm assuming, is not adopted right away, and it's sort of about their experience. So I will read you a little bit of the blurb. Leon is 9 years old. He loves chocolate bars, Saturday morning cartoons, and his beautiful golden-haired baby half-brother. From the moment Jake is born, Leon is determined to protect him, but when their mother falls victim to her inner demons and the boys' fathers are nowhere to be found, Leon and Jake fall under the care of the state. Jake, due to his age and skin color, is adopted, while darker-skinned Leon is placed with a doting but ailing foster mother. Leon remains desperate to put his family together, and as he embarks on a quest to reunite with Jake, he meets an unforgettable cast of characters. So, I think this takes place in the UK. There is, this cast of characters, which I'm assuming is probably populated with people from different races and socioeconomic classes. There's the dichotomy of the white brother and the biracial brother. This is really interesting to me. I am one half of an interracial marriage. I am Black. My husband is white. We have a child who is biracial. So those issues, and sort of taking a peek into that world, and I don't mean the world of one half of an interracial couple, I mean the world of a biracial child, is something that is really interesting to me. So I'm going to read the first chapter and I will be back. Okay, so my camera battery died and I needed to charge it a little, so I went ahead and read the first chapters of all of the books. So like I said, I started with this one. My Name is Leon. It's about two brothers. One is white, one is biracial. And in the first chapter, we are at the hospital and we meet Leon and his baby brother. His mom has just had the baby, and it's a very sweet scene. He's holding the baby for the first time and promising his little brother that he'll take care of him. We sort of get the feeling that mom is not super maternal. He calls his mom Carol, which is her first name, and she seems to be okay with that. We also know, or come to learn, that his father left. There's a line in the first chapter where he says he was born in the 70s, I should say. So this takes place, I think he's 10 when the book starts. So it's in the 80s, but he says that his mom tells him his father is colored. His dad tells him that he's Black, but they're both wrong because his dad is dark brown and he is a lighter brown. He says that. And it's just, there's like tenderness and a sweetness, and I was already like having all the feels just from the very first chapter. I have a feeling I'm going to be gutted by this book. So yeah, very good first chapter. The next first chapter that I read was In Shelter. This is by Jung Yun. I'm sure I'm not saying that appropriately, and I apologize. I should have probably looked up the pronunciation first. So this first chapter is extremely intense. We meet the main character, whose name is Kyung. He is Japanese. He is married to Jillian, who is white and of Irish heritage. They have a little boy. They live somewhere on the East Coast, and like a lot of people, they were sort of living above their means. They got hit with some financial issues during the sort of bursting of the housing bubble, so they are now in a home that they're underwater on the mortgage. We also learned that his parents are very wealthy. They live 6 miles away in the nicest part of town in a huge house. So in the very first scene, they are meeting with the real estate agent to discuss putting their home on the market. Things don't really go according to plan. You know, she's kind of suggesting that they rent the house until the market picks up. Do they, you know, asking if they have someone that they can go stay with or somewhere that they can go, which are his parents, who are wealthy. Apparently they live in a very big, very nice house. He's not close with his parents, and we soon learn why. We are also introduced to his mother in quite a startling way. She is seen sort of wandering through their house. Apparently backs up to like a nature preserve. So they spot her through the window wandering naked through this nature preserve, and he goes out, and it's clear that she has been the victim of some sort of attack. And it is at that point that we learn why he is not particularly close to his parents. Apparently his father beat his mother semi-regularly when he was younger, and at some point he must have gotten big enough where he could threaten his father. So his father sort of got religion and became changed. Not in the sense he says that he became a loving man, but he stopped being a violent man. So at the end of chapter 1, we learn that his parents and their housekeeper were the victims of a home invasion robbery, and they are all beaten fairly severely. His mother and their housekeeper were also both sexually assaulted and raped. And so that's where we leave off in the first chapter. It was extremely, extremely intense. The last few pages of the first chapter, I think I was holding my breath. So yeah, extremely interesting. The next chapter I read was in, you can see I took some notes while I was reading, Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad. This book has been getting lots and lots of buzz. Oprah picked it for her book club and managed to move up the release because she wanted it for her book club. I have read other works by Colson Whitehead. I really, really love him and his style and his writing and just everything about him. So in the first chapter, we meet a slave named Cora, and it is just sort of about how they take the slaves from where they're from, and they're sort of little snippets of the slave trade and the slave market. I have heard that this book is extremely, extremely brutal in terms of discussing the brutality and harshness of slavery. It does not whitewash it in any way or make it comfortable for anyone to read. And just from the little bits of the first chapter, I can understand that, and it made me sad. It made me sad just to read about how these human beings, my ancestors, people that looked like me, were treated. So yeah, and then the last book that I had picked up, and I actually showed it in my first book video, my library haul, and I had just renewed it because I didn't really get to it, but it is Tiny Pretty Things. It is about ballerinas in New York City who are sort of vying for the status of, you know, soloist and a place in the company and all of that. One of the dancers happens to be Black, so there's that interesting dynamic of I think maybe the examination of Black women's bodies and how they don't, or maybe perhaps they don't fit the stereotype of what a dancer's body should be or how a dancer should look. So in the very first chapter, and it's not a chapter per se, it's a prologue. So I don't know if all of the chapters are, I believe they're told from the point of view, or they're narrated from a specific character. So I guess it's a prologue, or the introduction is told by Cassie. So you sort of get a glimpse into just the harshness of being a dancer at that level, the physical strain it takes on your body, the emotional, you know, strain of all of that pressure. And she is sort of taking us behind the scenes, and then she is doing a lift with a partner. She's being lifted by a partner, and he drops her, and that is sort of the end of that. So all of these have very interesting first chapters, and enough in the first chapter to give you a good idea, I think, of whether or not you want to continue reading. So I think, kind of bucking the trend, instead of picking one book, I'm going to pick two. So my two books are going to be Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad and Jung Yun's Shelter. So I will check back in at the end of the week and let you know how far I got, what I thought, if I finished them, and so forth. So I'm not sure when. I hope I get this video up today. It's Tuesday, so I'm already like a day behind. But the purpose of the Diversathon is not to quick read and kind of shovel them in. It is to really take your time and absorb what you're reading and sort of become invested in these worlds that perhaps you might not think about or you might not be exposed to otherwise. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how far I will get. I think that there's a wait list for this. So I don't know if I can renew it if I don't finish it, but this may end up being one that I buy. I have some Amazon credits. So I am super excited to read both of these this week, and if you have time this week, maybe think about adding some diversity to your reading routine. If not, you know, if you don't have time to read this week or this month, I encourage you to just kind of jot some of the recommendations down. Like I said, I will list some of the other videos below that have lots and lots of recommendations. There's also a Diversathon hashtag on Twitter if you want to check that out. I know I looked yesterday and someone had posted a link to a printout or a PDF of some really good recommendations, and it sort of breaks them down into genres and gives you a little snippet of what you can expect in the book. So I did print that out. I want to add it to my planner, so the next time I'm at the library I can kind of take a look at some of those. But thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.